Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's guest, Mo Wadhwani, and his wife, Noor, have opened up Athletifreak, which is one of the most amazing sports luxury fitness lines that I've ever seen. I'm so excited to interview Mo today, so let's get started. Mo, welcome to the show.
John, thank you for having me. Thank you for having us here and for those kind words. I mean, it's such a pleasure to be here with you on Tough Love.
You know, having the opportunity to first meet you a few weeks ago and then talk yesterday, I love the vernacular and language you use when you discuss the store and the idealism of what you're doing here. Tell my audience and our audience about the community behind AF and what that means to you and Noor.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, a lot of people will see this as a brand. They'll see Athletifreak as a brand. For us, this is community. It starts with community, it ends with community, and that's the pulse that runs through it. Anyone that joins the team, we tell them, this may look like a retail environment. It may look like a store. This is the gateway to the community. When people come in here, shop or not, purchase or not, buy or not, convert or not, what's more important is when they leave this store, they should feel better than when they came in. And that's going to make them understand, appreciate, become one with the Athletifreak mentality. And that's what our community is all about.
Love that. And when I went out to the website, I'm a big, I guess being in healthcare, I'm a big investigative person. I kind of like to see the why behind things. Tell our audience a little bit more about how Athletifreak started.
Absolutely. So I my life before Athletifreak was corporate, 20 plus years of corporate executive, and we relocated multiple times across the country. And that was half of our life, right? Working corporate. The other half was just family and activity. During one of our moves, we had moved to Austin, Texas. And I was always looking for the next physical challenge. And during our weekend, house hunting weekend there, I see a bunch of guys and gals, and they've all got this tattoo on them, right? Tattoo, and they've got these backpacks. I now have it here. I've earned it. But I see this on all of them. And at that point, I had no idea what Ironman was. I had no idea what triathlon was. I didn't know that people did things like that. I thought you just go out and you run because I was a runner. And I see a bunch of guys, gals with this logo.
In their community.
I went up to them and I'm like, what is going on? Like, whatever they have, I want some of that because these are incredibly fit people. And I asked one of them, what is that? Ironman, Google it, look it up. I was like, oh, I want that. Before we even moved to Austin, I already signed up for my first race because I was like, whatever, I'm doing this. Didn't have a bike, didn't even know how to swim. I knew how to play in the water, didn't know how to swim. Signed up for a race. We ended up moving to Austin, started training. And during that journey, every single person, friends, family, relatives, you're a freak. What the hell are you doing? Like, why are you going out and training for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours? No one's paying you to do this. Why are you paying to go do that? And that's where this freak concept really started to bear on me in a negative way. And I had this moment, anytime you try to do something that no one else is doing, it very easily, very quickly can turn negative. And I had this moment, 4 a.m., getting ready to go out for one of my 8-hour training days. I'm having my oatmeal, and in my head, it's freak. They're calling me a freak. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And I was like, wait a second. My kids were 3 and 5. Our kids were 3 and 5, running 5Ks. My wife, my parents, myself, we're healthy. Like, if that's what it means to be a freak, if that's what it means to be that passionate about something.
You're okay with that.
And turn it into a positive, that's what we're all about. So I literally went and woke Noor up at 4 a.m. and said, we're going to make a brand that's going to celebrate the positive side of being freakishly passionate about something. And Noor's background, she's a fashion designer, pops out of bed at 4 a.m. I'm expecting her to smack me. And she's just like, let's do it. And that's where it started. And I mean, I think we both remember that moment, 4 a.m. moment, very vividly. But that is where the journey began.
Love it. And, we talked about right before we jumped on the podcast today. So, you got so excited about talking about these triathlons, and you haven't booked one yet. So I think we're gonna have a little bit of a challenge post-show today to get you ready for your next. If you do a sprint, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to get it going.
I don't look, man. Coming out of this conversation today, I'm hoping to go book my next Ironman because it's been 2 years and I miss it so much. But we've been slammed. Just this Athletifreak is just moving faster than we possibly thought we could, and we continue to get in front of it and then fall behind and get in front of it and fall behind. And with that, we've kind of lost touch with what I love personally, which is Ironman. And I think just from the conversations we even had leading into this, I might be booking one right after this.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for that.
You got it. Well, listen, yesterday's prep call was amazing because I felt like I was, as much as you get on a podcast and even you could be the host, you're always learning, right? And I think your background in business is inspirational and, motivation to be able to balance family, a new business, plus, your core job. Talk to me about how I'd asked you, said you had any fear, and you kind of jumped into almost like a head coach where you were like, we're always on the offensive, not the defensive.
Yeah.
And, share what that means within your community, within your brand, and within your team, and how you deliver that to your team every day across the 3 stores.
Yeah, so we had a conversation yesterday, and you asked me, or we talked about the concept of fear, and right after that, Noor actually, because she heard my answer, she heard what I said about it, and she knows that's how I'm wired, and she was like, "But you do have nights where you don't sleep, and I do see you bug out sometimes, and I know you get tense, and you're trying to figure out how to make everything come together the right way. Why don't you talk about that?" And I digested that, thought about it, and honestly, when you love what you're doing, it takes you back to what we talked about, playing offense. I don't understand the concept of playing defense. I think when you're doing something you love, you got to be go, go, go. You have one speed. That speed is go. And whatever it is that you're really passionate about, you get after it. You make it happen. You have challenges that keep you up at night. But if you fall into the trap of being afraid or fearful of what might happen, you're never really going to go all out. You're never going to reach that full potential. So the concept of fear, don't give into it. We will fail. We will, and for good reason we'll fail, right? It keeps us grounded.
And to that point, I'm going to give the audience a pearl because you said something that was amazing. Lessons learned. Learn fast.
Oh, right? Yeah. Learn fast, pivot even faster, and just progress. Keep progressing, keep moving forward. The concept of continuous improvement, Kaizen, just keep progressing forward.
One of the things that I thought was amazing was we wanted to see the other store. We had a challenge day, Jessica and I, so we bounced from Asbury Park, and then I shot you a text. I'm like, hey, let's get up to Menlo. It's a little bit closer. And when you own small businesses like us, and I know you have aspirations to have, a national powerhouse, one of the things is customer service. And your team, which I am the king of getting out of a store. If I'm your older brother, it would be comical because we'd go shopping. Your clothes, you get 13 pieces and nothing would have a sensor on it. I got 13 pieces and 11 of them have sensors on it, right? I love what you guys do with your packaging where like if you pick something off the shelf, then you get brand new stuff in a bag or whatnot. And the attention to detail to shoot me a text to say, love the shopping experience. By the way, left you a voicemail. Listen to the voicemail. So sorry. You can swap it out at any of the locations. We believe we gave you 2 larges instead of extra larges. And I'm like, I found my home. Like someone as OCD as me.
That's so sweet.
And, I think, so many times people say, no one's going to care as much as the owner. But when the owners are constantly teaching, then I think the team, like children or like family, want to aspire to be like that. So, I commend both you and Noor for doing that because even at this location, when I walked in to do the exchange, before I popped in real quick, they were like, no problem size, everything was perfect. And to me, one of the things I always, we're talking about my business coach earlier, another thing he would always say is when you do the little things well, the big things happen much easier.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's just about the human condition being kind. And we had talked about that. And tell the audience what you think, what your thoughts about the world and positivity and just being, just putting kindness out there, or just positive energy, like your vibe and your mission, like everything in your, your mantras that are all over the walls in here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, before that, thank you on behalf of the team for even recognizing that. I can't wait for them to hear this and see this and just appreciate the recognition that you share with them. That means a lot. We are obsessive about the finest details because it's important, right? In terms of our mantra, yeah. First thing you see when you walk into any of our stores is greatness lies within. There's nothing that we believe in more than those three words, greatness lies within. The potential that every single person anywhere, everywhere has within them to just achieve whatever greatness that they've kind of set the standard for themselves. The potential to achieve that is in them. It's just a matter of finding the path, being relentless on that path, and committing to it. We believe in that, and there's negativity out there. It's a challenging world, right? There's a lot of negativity out there, but for us, if we can do our part to just fuel a little bit of positivity and just inspire a little bit, make people feel a little bit better. Like I said earlier, someone comes in here, they should leave feeling better than when they came in. To help them on that journey, to support them on that journey of finding that greatness and just tapping into it. We say everyone has within them, you call it a light, an energy, whatever you want to call it. We call it your inner freak. We say everyone has that inner freak. You just got to get in touch with it. Don't be so serious. Have fun, and just freak out a little bit. And that's what it's all about.
That's going to be our hat. We're going to make that one. I'm going to coin that. We're going to have freak out AF on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Every mom's going to be like, it's okay. They said it's all right. We freak out. Athletifreak.
So, Athletifreak, right? AF. So we play on that a lot. Our son is 14. Our daughter's 11. All they wear is Athletifreak, obviously, because they like it as well. But our son goes to school with AF on his shirts, on his hoodies, and his teachers initially didn't know why. And they're like, what are you trying to do there? What is this AF that you're doing? And it's just so sweet how he has this conversation with them about being freakishly passionate. And those same teachers are now shopping with us, and they're coming, and they're wearing Athletifreak, and they're wearing AF. Because once you get past that concept of freak being negative, once you view it in a positive light, there's nothing like it.
100%.
There's nothing like it.
Agreed. I used to laugh, probably a little bit younger than you. One of my associates, it's like a little brother to me. We'd be working out in the gym, getting ready for training our athletes as a professional basketball trainer for 20 years. And people would come up and be asking, what are we training for? Like, you guys are freakish. What are you doing?
Life.
And I was chuckling because we would go from we would literally do a 315 squat, a 315 step up, and a 315 deadlift, and then a 42-inch box jump. And before there was CrossFit and all these things, there was Jim Jones out of California. I was just following, he's like my little brother. He found this thing, and we were doing these workouts, and they were like, you did 3 sets, that was it. You were gassed, right?
Oh, yeah.
But people would walk up and be like, did you just do that and then a sprint? We're like, yeah, 3 times and they die. They're like, I don't think I could do that ever. I'm like, that's right. No, you just got to go freak mode. You'll be all right, But I got a good question.
Just lock in.
How do you guys see your brand elevated above, and we talked about this and touched on this yesterday, above like an ALO or a Lululemon or Athleta in the Athletifreak name and everything there? And you had a great point when you had said about the name and stuff, but I want you to kind of run with that because I think you'll do a better job.
Look, we're not trying to be the next fill in the blank, right? We're not trying to be the next anything. We're Athletifreak. We're proud of what we are. We're proud of the community that has so quickly kind of just gravitated to this concept. It's pretty, your typical B school, right? You got to have a market segment, and you have to say, this is my target demographic, and this is who I'm going after. And we're like, screw that. Like, we're not doing any of that. This is for everyone. Why? Because to be an Athletifreak, that is who you are, like through and through. That's your lifestyle. So the number of people that will walk into our stores or come up to us and be like, you made a brand about me. Like, there's nothing more powerful and rewarding for Noor and I than when people come up to us and say, you made a brand about me. And I'm not lying. This goes from 8-year-olds to 95-year-olds. runners, bodybuilders, CrossFitters, ballet dancers, ice skaters, you name it. We've had all different types of athletes come and say, you made a brand about me. And if you think about the segment we're in, this luxury activewear segment, tell me another brand where you can say, I am, and then you put the brand name there. You mentioned a few, right? Try it with any of them. I am it, right? You can't.
Trust me, I came up and I always kind of, go through my podcast. I was laughing when you told me that. I was like, yeah, I
think about
this, I that.
I'm a lemon. No, yeah. I mean, it's
Well,
I'm an athletic freak, and damn proud of it.
Here's a good one. Your positivity, kind of, you drip it, right? You sweat it out. What would you tell the audience about, especially small business people struggling, or trying to open stuff up and making mistakes, keeping it positive, or just battling for payroll and rents and all these different things that come up, as leases turn over. Oh, yeah. What would you tell them when they're looking at the daunting task of a startup approaching that mindset and all that good stuff?
2 messages. 1, be very clear about what you want. Know what you want and just get after it. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges. It's not easy. Don't expect to sleep. You're going to have to work for it. But know what you want and get after it. On the other side, in a very practical sense, just be smart. We've had opportunities come to us that would require us to really put all our bets of our entire brand on one thing working out. If it works, boom, gangbusters. If it doesn't work, we don't exist anymore. You have to be able to make smart decisions there. We've done something very differently than what most other brands comparable to us have done. We're going conservative. You can call it that. Bootstrapped, self-funded. We're not going after banks. We're not going after VCs. We're not doing any of those things. We're saying, you know what? If it comes slow, fine. If it comes faster, fine. But we're going to do it the right way. For us, when I go back to that point of being clear on what you want, a strong community is number one for us. We want to deliver just the best quality and take care of that community, have that community that loves each other. And when you walk down the street and you see someone wearing Athletifreak, you don't have to know them. Just go give them a fist bump because you share something. And that's what we're focused on. The growth will come with it. And sure enough, it does.
Love that. Well, I told you we were on the call yesterday. When I get hurt going into COVID pretty bad, and I've had my share of injuries from being paralyzed, fractured skull, rebuilt knee, stomach surgery, this, that, broken back. Like, I've been through it. And your gear was at the Ford Athletic Club. And I was looking at sweats that I'd once wore, and I put them on, and my athletic eye was like, oh, wow, I look terrible. And, and I was just getting back. I was probably 180 pounds, 187 pounds to be exact. And I was like broken, right? I had to kind of get back to going. So I put these sweats on. I was like, okay, I don't know. Maybe they're like those old school how people looked at Lululemon or whatever. I'm like, I have legs. It looks like I'm not completely emaciated. All right, love these. They were my uniform. I did not come out of them. And because to me, the funny thing, like with your son wearing that school, the AF on, I go, well, I'm skinny as, so I'm wearing these. And, it was funny because if I would have known you when you said, people getting your cell phone, I saw when I put the post together yesterday or today, one of the awesome stories or trainers at the Ford Athletic Club, JoJo, the minute I put the post out, she literally reached out, and you said this where, people get my number or whatever, and reached out, and there you are, that you didn't have any more shirts for, breast cancer awareness, and you got a shirt together for her. And being around her and how special she is, and the energy has, like post-cancer treatment and just being a survivor, she doesn't waste a minute of the time she has left on this planet. And to see the kindness she put into you, I was like, and you had said it.
That
and
means
I was like,
so much.
And I was kind of curious. It's funny. You hear people say stuff, and it's like, all right, let me see. And then to see somebody that's like literally like a candle lighter that just emanates that positive
means so
energy.
Much. That means
I was
so
like,
much.
This is good. This could be a great podcast. I know it.
That just means, look, we're doing this to bring community together, right? It's not to leave what I left, right, on the corporate side. We're not doing it for the money. We were never doing it for the money. But to be able to create a movement that gives positivity to people and just, it's something you can celebrate together. You got to do it you can't fake it. Like, that's not something you can fake. You got to love it. And to love it the way that we do, and to have those types of moments, right? To get these, just random text messages, multiple a day, calls, just, I wore this today and felt confident. Here's my picture. Can you share it on social media? I'm scared to do it myself. Those types of things, because people will come in here and they haven't been to the gym in 3 years and they want to go back to it, but you know what? They're intimidated. They're scared. They're not sure if they belong. A 5-minute conversation with them gives them just what they need, with just the right look, to say, you know what? I do have it in me. I can do it. I can sign up for my next 5K. I can run a marathon, whatever it might be. But just to help people, support people, and get to the point where they're like, I feel confident.
Let's go.
Boom. What more is there?
I love that. I love that. And now that's all the give. Let's talk about balance. How do you guys?
What is that?
Well, that's it, right? We touched on this, and it's the truth. It's like, on my end, I see launching this podcast and the momentum we're getting. Clean Media has been instrumental in our growth. They've been putting out great content for us, and we've been starting to really grow and gain traction. And but how do you guys balance? How do you and Nor balance the growth of the business, family? I know we got I'm going to nudge you a little bit. I'm going to start texting you like every couple of hours just to remind you, register for that race until I see the.
It's going to happen. Done deal. Done deal.
But how do you balance that? Is that something like in your morning rituals or routines, or is it something that you guys just innately do, or you bother her at 4 a.m. every day and say, hey, we got to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm up. At that point, I'm up. I start early. Look, man, when you are just in love with what you're doing, you don't need to draw lines, right? And for us as a family, we launched the brand Athletifreak 3 years ago. The community started just before that, so a little over 3 years. We've been building for about 4.5, 5 years now in development. And as a family of 4, we've shared every hour, every minute of that together. We joke, our breakfast and dinner table conversations are board meetings. We're talking about design. We're talking about marketing campaigns. We're talking about challenges, all those things. And our kids understand it, right? We ask them, what's the next design we should work on? What do you think we're missing? So they're very much a part of it. So if I think about balance, we've got our non-negotiables, right? Our focus on spirituality and family, non-negotiables. We have to commit time to that. Outside of that, we're all in. Like, there is nothing else in life. So when I'm running, that's where my creativity is coming to life. That's where I'm thinking. That's where I'm making decisions.
That was my next question.
A lot of times I'll have a decision to be made, and I'll prep it. I'll go through it. I'll think I'm ready, but I won't actually make it until after my 10-mile run, because I need to have those moments of clarity to be able to come back and say yes or no, right or wrong. And then the most important part of it, right, the reason why this works for us without any balance, Noor and I, husband and wife, are doing this together. And for a husband and wife to be together 365, 24/7, sharing everything, that usually doesn't work. It's very rare, right? Very few couples have found that. And to be able to make it sustainable and bring the kids into it, we're very, very just fortunate and blessed that despite her and I being polar opposites, the left brain, right brain concept is actually working. And more than anything, she puts up with me. She puts up with me, and that's why it works.
Well, I have to tell you, it's funny, with Valentine's Day just passing, having the first conversation, I chuckled. I said, I wanted to draw that out of you for all the guys out there that are going to be listening to this, saying they got to take some notes, because you definitely can lay in the good, you lay in some heavy brick and mortar of, the meetings.
Dude, we've been, I didn't even realize this, you reminded me. We've been married 15 years, and this past Valentine's Day was the first time we've ever gone out for dinner on Valentine's Day. we obviously took the kids, the 4 of us went out together. But it was the first time we've actually gone out for Valentine's Day, because every day is special. Every day together is special.
Awesome.
And we've never had to pause and think about those things.
So now the one thing that's pretty neat, obviously, you're a runner. Is that the go-to workout for you? Is that
I love
at this
it.
point?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love running because I've fallen in love with the sport of triathlon. I force myself to swim and bike. And I'll tell you what, I always dread getting in the water. Once I'm in there, there's just this sense of it's active meditation, right? Whether I'm running, swimming, or biking, it's active meditation because you're at it for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours.
Yeah.
And the only way is to just go to another level and just completely lose yourself. And I think what freaks most people out about me is when I go for a 3-hour run, I will never listen to music. I don't listen to music when I run. I don't watch or listen to anything when I'm going for a 5-6 hour ride. It's just me and myself, and I need that time. So that's my active meditation.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. So for me, actually, I'm definitely a music and theme person. So I'm always amazed when I see people do that. I'm like, especially we treat so many triathloners and whatnot, and I'm always intrigued. But most times, you guys are in your own class of your own because, you have your bike on the back, you got all your energy stuff, you got your swimsuit, this and that, and you're switching. So in my head, I'm thinking, well, they can't have these ear things because they're going from the water, then they're running, they lose it, then they're pissed off halfway through because they don't have their stuff. But I love the idea of active meditation and just kind of getting your thoughts in order, especially with everything you're juggling. So I think
you need it.
I think it's fantastic.
Need it.
Tell me this: what's the next 6 months look like? Is there another store coming down the pipeline?
There is. Yeah, there is. So we our first 2 years was just started with one hoodie and then pop up, right? Our first 2 years, basically 100 weekends we clocked in over 100 pop-ups in our first 2 years. Our first brick and mortar opened 2 months before our 2-year anniversary. Over the next 12 months, we opened 3. Okay. So we opened 3 last year, basically. This year, we will open at least 2 to 3 more, potentially more, but there's already 2 to 3 in the works in the first half of the year. And thus far, we're still in New Jersey. We will look to expand outside of New Jersey into the Northeast. And hopefully, I don't know if it's 25, maybe it'll be 26, but that's where we'll essentially open into a second market.
Okay.
I say that, but I also, when Noor and I started, we were like, we're going to open our first brick and mortar at year 5. And here we are, year 3 with already 3. So we think we know what's going to happen a year from now. We don't know what's going to happen a year from now. We're going to keep riding. We're going to keep pushing. Maybe we go higher, maybe we go lower, but whatever we do, we're going to do it right. That's what's more important for us.
So far, I mean, everything sounds positive, but what's been the greatest challenge in the Athletifreak journey? Was it, transitioning out of corporate a little bit? Like, because are you still in corporate at all, or just this?
Yeah, well, there was a journey with that as well. So for our first 2 years, I did step out of corporate because had to be all in. We had to start from nothing. And so about 6 months into the journey, I did leave corporate. For about 1.5 years, I was full-time Athletifreak. And you know what? It sounded great. It felt great. We were doing well. But like I said, we're bootstrapped and we're self-funded. And in order to do that, very practically, you need to put everything you make right back into the business. You can't even take $1 out of it, right? So basically, all of our savings went into it in order to just get off the ground and start building. Once you get to that 1.5 year, 2-year mark, you want to go from 5 products to 20 products to now 300 plus. You want to go from a staff of my wife and I to now a staff of 25 and building. That requires capital. Either you go externally for that capital, or I tap into what I've done successfully in the past, go back to corporate. So went back to corporate, and that gives us the funding to continue investing in the business, obviously in addition to whatever we continue to generate internally. So very practical decision, and it works.
So that
but it basically keeps us away from getting leveraged.
Yeah, which is great. Obviously, I think your business training and background and what you do in corporate has given you a great insight, right? To stay away from the debt and where you guys are.
Stay away from debt.
Love that. What would you tell, well, I already know the answer because you just basically said it, for people that are in a career, an attorney that wants to do something, this and that, want to start up, How would you frame that to them if we were doing a coaching thing and we were talking to them saying, hey, listen, I had to go back into corporate. I had to take away more personal time away to make sure I could self-fund this.
Yeah.
But how would you frame that in a way that you're motivating them and not scaring them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And John, I'll tell you the truth. I was ashamed to say I was going back to corporate. Like I was actually ashamed to say I have to do that because I almost felt as though I was, to some degree, accepting defeat, selling out even. But again, you got to have clarity on what the bigger picture is. And what I would say is very important is if you are going to have a full-time career as well as develop your own business, you have to do justice to both. You can't be 50% here, 50% there. So if you're able to do 100% on both ends, which sounds ridiculous, crazy, freakish, if you're going to do it right, right? So I'm leading a massive organization outside of Athletifreak. But when I'm there, and we're delivering results. But when I'm with Athletifreak, which is somehow adding up to like 130 hours a week, between the two, it's all in. I'm doing it right. And it sucks everything out of you in terms of energy, which is why I haven't done an Ironman in 2 years. But if you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I think the biggest thing that why I wanted to start the podcast was to, you see the people that are in the podcast space and they're $300-400 million guys, right? So they're already there, you know, and I don't think the audience is really listening. They're just trying to motivate and find their why, if you will. But watching a young couple be so successful and really kind of surgically take it apart and say, hey, listen, you know what? I don't know how long I have to stay in corporate, but if I could fund this to achieve this dream, you know, Noor's vision, and then you guys together collectively go, I just think it's an inspirational story.
You know, I think it's really a credit to you that you're sharing these type of stories because, I mean, Noor and I listen to all of the podcasts of all of the brands that have either made it or didn't make it. Yeah, and especially if you look at the last 12 or so years, you have a lot of brands that started in 2010, 2012, 2013, went direct to consumer. Many of them didn't make it. Some of them did. You're starting to hear more about them now because they're about 10 years old. They all went the route of funding. They got the big VCs and all of that. Amazing stories. And it's really nice now, 10 years later, to hear those stories. You're telling a story of a brand that's not even 3 years, or just 3 years old now, right? That grind, that behind the scenes dark side, that's a precious part of the journey that a lot of times you don't hear about.
No, it's amazing. I agree. You know,
and the only reason it's even possible for us to do this is because, I mean, the heart, the soul, the design, anything you see when you see Athletifreak, the branding, that is all Noor. Like, that is her. This is her pulse. I mean, everything about it, and she's able to just give that 100 and plus% every single day, which allows us to still pursue that dream while balancing, like you said.
That was my next question.
Lifestyles.
Are you guys in the 3 stores daily, kind of like popping in and doing that?
We do. We do. We continue to check in as frequently as physically possible, and it becomes harder. You know, when it was 1 store every day, when it's 3. We can't be everywhere, and that's a challenge. Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we have good team members. They understand our obsessiveness. They understand and appreciate it. And one of the conversations we'll have with new team members when they join us is, look, you're used to working retail. You've worked with big companies. You've had a manager that reports to a district manager that reports to a VP that reports to and there's 10 layers, and people just don't care enough, right? I was like, you're reporting directly to the owners. We care. We're in everything because we are. We're that obsessive. We're in everything.
Love that.
So if you're okay with that, join us. If that scares you, this is not the place for you. And it's not the place for everyone. But for people that are willing to share in that freakish passion, there's nothing like it.
I think that's huge. You know, people don't realize that I remember as and I think I had one job. And when I got my doctorate, I never worked for someone again for my entire adult life. I always worked for myself. I couldn't do it. But, it's amazing as an owner. I love to interact with my team.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I love that you said yesterday was when you have one center, it's like being man to man, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a freak, well, you dominate it. But now when you got to drop in a zone, when you have 3 locations,
Yep.
You inspired me a little bit in the conversation where I was like, you know what, we have to pivot. We're getting rid of one of our biggest locations that we put our heart and soul to, but owning it versus renting it put us in a really crazy position. And I was like, you know what, we could do so much more with that money. We need to pivot. We need to, reassess what we want to do.
Yeah.
We just launched the Velocity Wellness Institute company with a partner. And, it's anti-aging, it's, aesthetics, beautification, all stuff that's out there and super current in the, I guess you'd say paramedical. It's all, elective, if you will. And it's fun, but I have to tell you from an ego perspective, like you said, you felt like you failed. I'm like, I'm going to say for like the last 6 months, I was so beat up that I knew the answer that I was like, and I'm a 345 everyday guy. And I'm like, we got to unload this place.
Yeah.
And, the good thing about it is we have brand new equipment, and the Ford Athletic Club, we have a location there. They shadowed us, right? We opened up before them. Our equipment is like a mini version of their 50,000 square feet. So it's almost like adopting a dog or putting something up for adoption. They're buying off our equipment. And I'm like, it's going to have a great home. And, and then I had to start framing it that way to myself, because I'm like, I hate losing. I'm so competitive that I was like, I feel like I'm losing. But then look back at it and say, you know what? When I was in grad school, I remember going past the Velocity, and it was a big warehouse. And I said, one day I'll have one of those. And instead of looking like I failed, I want to say I checked the box. And I feel like with you guys, it's like when I asked you and I started thinking about, I see greatness in you guys. I see you guys having stores where I'm out speaking in Vegas or California and Fort Lauderdale and chuckling saying, Mo, I just walked into an AF. Loaded up.
Due time.
Like this, the picture
Due time,
in my head.
man.
Like,
yeah, soon enough.
And and I love that. I love that for you guys. So congratulations on that.
Dude, thank you. And I love hearing about just all the incredible things you're doing. And I mean, I feel like we're going to have this conversation again, except it's going to have to be a reverse, because I want to understand how you feel about balance and how you manage balance and all these incredible things you're doing on top of somehow maintaining 6% looks like percent body fat. I mean, how? And it's something that if you and I saw each other at a gym and didn't know each other, you'd be throwing around heavy weights and I'd be running 10 miles. And we'd probably never talk to each other, but we'd see each other and be like, he's working hard, right?
Yeah,
we just have this mutual respect for each other. And it's these platforms, it's these walks of life that give us the opportunity to connect and get to know each other. But, I mean, I'd love to just learn more about how you do it and what your secrets are.
You know what?
And it's probably just, it's hard work.
It is. And I have to tell you, it's funny. I hear Ed Milet and people that I love listening to on podcasts say this all the time, that that core, that brain trust of guests that ultimately become friends. And we talked about this yesterday, because you always want to find like-minded people that are in growth mode all the time. And it's not they don't have hardships. They're going to fall down. But the reality is, much like that elite athlete, they get back up and they keep going. And God knows, during COVID, I could barely walk. And I was so hurt. And COVID was the best disguise ever, because we were in masks, we were in clothes, we were hiding, we had social distancing. And in my adult life, I had trained and brought from national players of the year, pro athletes and everything like that. I was always the epitome of health, and I had lost that all. And so when you see me, thank you so much for recognizing it, because that battle to get that back was, I never thought I'd get in a position where I'd say, maybe I'm not going to get up this time. And I shook it, thank goodness. And I have to say that, the opportunity of being on this podcast and working with amazing guests is something that just inspires me to keep going. So
That's
it.
special. That's really
So-
special. And, that's one of the things that I really find beautiful about just the parallel between athletics, movement, in any form, and life. You build this appreciation and this resilience for just the hurt, the hard work,
Absolutely.
the pain, the sweat, the blood, all that good stuff that you fall in love with, right? Because that is life, right? You will have a no rep. You will not be able to lift that weight one day. You will have a bad run. You will lose a race. Doesn't mean you're going to stop racing. Get up, you work harder, and you do it again.
Absolutely.
And if you play football, right, if you run the ball, what does your coach teach you? Always fall forward and then get up and do it again. And it's no different than business or life or anything, relationships.
It's funny. I send my son this Ray Lewis podcast every day. It's like 2 minutes of greatness. And, he talks about 52 and the 52 cards and what that was. And people thought it was a number he picked. And, it was about his mom and, domestic abuse and a card deck and doing push-ups to be able to protect his family. And, but the reality was that he took that and it was never about football. It was about the other side of pain and the pain of watching, not being able to help. And then the other side of pain, he said, people stop, they get to pain, it scares them, fear scares them. But there's something great on the other side of pain. And that greatness is knowing that you once thought you couldn't do it. And now you've achieved something that you thought was there. And then that indomitable will, right? Or that relentless, act, just keep going,
Absolutely.
So, well, listen, I absolutely love this today. We are definitely doing this again. I love the idea with the fit thing you guys have planned here. So we're definitely going to throw that down.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Mo and Noor have been absolutely wonderful hosts in having us here at their Athletifreak location. Their stores are absolutely spectacular. This is luxury fitness wear. It is must-wear, must-see stuff. Thank you so much. On our platform today, please follow them, of course, on Athletifreak and all their platforms. Their clothing is amazing. Their community is amazing and rapidly growing. I'm excited to get with you guys early on and looking forward to seeing the growth in the future. Thank you so much.
John, thank you for having us. This really means a lot. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
You got it.
I mean, I think what you're doing and the stories you're sharing and just the depth and the authenticity in what comes from you is really special. And I mean, that is clearly why your audience and your reach continues to expand, because there's clearly positive energy that everyone is finding from you. So just continue to be that light.
Well, listen, those compliments are good. I'm not letting you off the push-up, so that's our next thing.
Let's do it.
Guys, thank you again.